We have a test tomorrow over polynomials. So you're going to be able to, or you're going to show me that you can add, subtract, multiply, divide, and factor polynomials tomorrow. Or hopefully you will be able to do that. So this is our last review today. So this first video is going to do numbers 1 through 6, and then the second video will do 7 through, I think it's 13. So last little practice. Again, if you have any questions on these, make sure that you're getting with me. Either email me or get on Zoom at 8:30 in the morning or at 4:20 in the afternoon. Okay, so we're going to divide these two things. It is a division problem because it has this fraction line in here. That means divide. This is 6x minus 36 being divided by 5x minus 30. So we're not going to do long division this year. What we are going to do is just factor the top, factor the bottom, and see if anything will cancel out. So when we're factoring, the first thing we always do is look for the GCF, because there's my poster, and it says first step 1 is find a GCF, if any, and then the second thing is if it's a trinomial, try to factor it into binomial times a binomial. So I look at this and I think GCF. Are there x's in both pieces on the top? No, so I cannot pull an x out. There's no x as a GCF. But then I look at the numbers, 6 and 36. What number will go evenly into both of them? Yes, you're right, 2 will go evenly into both of them, but there's a bigger number. Yes, you're right, 3 will go evenly into both of them, but there's a bigger number. And sometimes I take the smaller number and just see if 6 will go into 6, and of course it always goes into itself evenly. But will 6 go into 36 evenly? Yes, so 6 is the biggest number, greatest, that will go into both numbers evenly. So common, greatest common factor. So I'm going to rewrite this top as 6 being pulled out, and 6 times something is going to equal that. So I need to set up my other parentheses over here, and 6 times what is 6x? I need an x there. And yes, there's a 1 in front of it if you want to write the 1 there. But 6 times x is 6x. If I distribute 6 times something else, it's going to equal the negative 36. Of course, that means this needs to be a negative 6. And then you can actually multiply these two pieces together, make sure you get that answer. Now, so 6 is a factor, and this parentheses, this binomial, x minus 6, is a single factor. On the bottom, are there x's in both pieces? No. Again, I'm looking for a GCF. And so I cannot pull the x out as a GCF, but I look at the number 5. 5 will go evenly into 5, and will 5 go evenly into 30? Yes, because 30 divided by 5 is 6. So 5 is my GCF. It goes evenly into both numbers. So 5 times what will give me the 5x? I need to have an x here. 5 times what will give me a negative 30? I need a negative 6 there. And I kind of double check my math. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. So that is true. I have factored the top. I have factored the bottom. Are there any factors that are identical on top and bottom? Yes, this whole parentheses is the same as that whole parentheses. I can't cancel out just the x's. It's the whole factor that has to cancel out with the whole factor. Okay, so that factor is one piece. Either it all goes or it all stays. You cannot pick and choose inside the factor. All right, so there's that one. Here's do another one. Again, we're dividing. So the goal is to factor the top, factor the bottom, and see if there's anything that will cancel out. Now, this is already a multiplication problem, so don't go multiplying them. Leave them as factors. This parentheses is a factor. That parentheses is a factor. So let's rewrite the top. Let's factor it if we can. I'm going to go ahead and put the 2x minus 1 on bottom. And 2x plus 1. Pretend this is pretty. I know it's kind of scrunched up. Plus 1. There we go. So the bottom stayed the same. It's a multiplication, so both those are factors. So I'm looking for a GCF first. Are there x's in both pieces? No, but I have a 5 and a 10 as the two numbers. Will 5 go evenly into 5? Yes. Will 5 go evenly into 10? Yes, it will. So I'm going to pull the 5 out as the GCF. 5 times what will give me a 10? I need there to be a 2 there. And I need an x in the answer, so I need to have an x with that. And then I kind of double check. 5 times 2x is indeed 10x. 5 times what will give me a negative 5? I just need that to be a negative 1. So whatever number you put down here, double check it by multiplying 5 times that number. Make sure it gives you that one. So now at this point, I'll look at the factors. I've got factors on top, factors on bottom. Are there any factors that are identical on top and bottom? Yes, this whole parentheses 2x minus 1 is the same as this whole parentheses 2x minus 1. So that whole parentheses cancels out on top and bottom. So I am left with 5 over 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1. So that's what we have left over on that one. Oh, on this one over here, after I canceled that out, we should have just finally rewritten that as 5 over 6, because that was the final answer, was 5 over 6. Okay, you can put parentheses around this or not, but that whole thing is one factor. Okay, what is the quotient when this thing is divided by this? So this is, again, a division problem. So how do you set this up? The first thing they give you goes on top. The second thing they give you goes on bottom. So this is the first thing, so this is going to go on top. 2x squared minus 3x minus 5 over, this is being divided by, there's the divided by, 2x minus 5. So this is 2x minus 5 on bottom. So this is a division problem. And so the only thing that's different is they didn't set it up for you in math. You had to take this as the top and this is the bottom. So first thing goes on top, second thing goes on bottom. This is being divided by that. Now, factor. Always look for a GCF first on top. So I have x squared, x, and no x's. So I cannot pull an x out. 2, 3, and 5. Was there any number that will go evenly into 2, 3, and 5 other than 1? Nope. 2 goes evenly into 2, but it won't go into 3 or 5 evenly. 3 goes evenly into 3, but it won't go into 2 or 5 evenly. So there's no number that will go into all 3 except to 1. So I cannot do that. But what I can do is look for I can factor this into a binomial times a binomial because it's a squared, an x to the first, and a number. Now, when you get ready to do this, I don't like to factor when there's a number in front. So what technique am I going to use? I'm going to use the slide and divide. So I'm going to rewrite this top part, and I'm just going to do it over here. This is going to be x squared. I'll come back over here when I get finished writing. X squared minus 3x. And then 2 times negative 5, because that line means I'm multiplying. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So I'm going to rewrite the top. It's just x squared, the 2 is gone, minus 3x minus 10. So here it is written over here. Now I have to make myself a note at the end. I need to come back and divide by 2 because I just multiplied by 2. I multiplied by 2 in the beginning to get rid of the 2. So at the end I got to divide by 2. So let's go factor this thing into a binomial times a binomial. I've got x and x at the beginning to give me x squared. These two numbers multiplied together have to equal 10. So let's make a list of possible numbers. 1 times 10, 2 times 5. 3 won't go evenly, 4 won't go evenly, and 5's already used. So it's either 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. Which one will give me a 3? If I add these, I get 11. If I subtract, I get 9, not my number. If I add, I get 7. But if I subtract, I get a 3, which is my number. So I need to subtract, which means one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. I want the answer to be negative, and you could just try positive and negative and then switch the signs and see which one works. But you want to add these two numbers together with their signs and see if you get a negative 3. Positive 2 and negative 5, the bad guys are going to win, and we have a negative 3. So this works. I have a positive 2 and a minus 3. And then you multiply them, and you should get a negative 10. If not, if you get a positive 10, then this doesn't work. So here it is. We've got that. Now what we got to do is come back and divide by 2. So I'm going to divide this number by 2 and divide that number by 2. I put these fractions in the calculator and see if they reduce down. X plus 2 over 2 reduces down to 1, so this becomes x plus 1. Negative 3 halves stays negative 3 halves, so I'm going to take I never divided it as a fraction. I'm going to take the 2 and put it in front of the x. This becomes 2x minus 3. Okay, so here are my two factors. I'm going to rewrite them over here. So this is x plus 1, 2x minus 3. X plus 1 times 2x minus 3. Make sure I wrote that down right. All right, so all we did was factor that top thing over here using that slide and divide technique. Now the bottom. Are there x's in both pieces? No, because I'm looking for a GCF first. And then we'll have the number 2 and 5. Will 2 go evenly into both 2 and 5? No, it won't. So is there GCF? No. So this whole thing is just one piece. 2x minus 5. Huh. I was wondering why I did this over here for a second. I'm looking at that one. Did I write? Oh, I wrote that down wrong. We were doing 2 and 5, weren't we? Somebody probably was yelling at me in the video going, Mrs. Harris, you wrote the number down wrong. I do this all the time when I'm talking and trying to write at the same time. This was a positive 2 and a negative 5. I kept looking at that going, why is this not working out? Okay, so that was a 5, so this is negative 5 here. So that was 2, so the 5 halves stayed 5 halves, and then 2 went in front, so 2x minus 5. So this one should have been 2x minus 5, because when I got done, there should have been something that canceled out. So this whole binomial, I put parentheses around it, right? Whenever you're doing math, you put parentheses around it. So this whole factor cancels out with this whole factor, and all you're left with is just x plus 1. There we go. And I know a bunch of you were screaming at me at the video going, Mrs. Harris, you wrote the number down wrong. I know, I do it all the time at the board too. Kids are catching me. I just can't talk and write at the same time. All right, which of the following is equivalent to the expression? So they want me to just simplify this thing because none of the answers are factored or anything. It's just literally we're just simplifying it. So get rid of parentheses, combine like terms. What number is sitting in front of this parentheses? It's a positive 1. When I multiply everything over here by a positive 1, does anything change? No, because 1 times 8 is still 8. 1 times 6 is still positive 6. 1 times 2 is still positive 2. But parentheses are now gone, so pretend they're gone. I rewrote it. What's sitting in front of this one? positive 1. When you multiply by positive 1 to get rid of your parentheses, does anything change? Nope, still a positive 6, still a positive 3, still a negative 5. But what's in front of this one? A negative 1. When you multiply by negative 1, do these change? Yes, this is no longer a positive 2x, it's now negative 2x. This is not a positive 10, it's now a negative 10, and the old ones are gone. Get rid of those so you don't accidentally use them. I am no longer subtracting. Okay, so combine like terms. We're going to do the squareds first, and then the first powers, and then the numbers. So here's a squared, and no squareds. So I just have 8 plus 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. So I'm thinking it's this one. Let's check, make sure that x is work. I have a 6, and I have a 3. So 6 plus 3 is 9, and 9 minus 2 is 7. Oh, wait, something's wrong on this one. I wonder if I did my answers. I haven't checked this one. Those were positive. Those were positive. I'm doing the squares. There's no x squared in this one. So 8x plus 6x is 14x squared. Yeah, I like that for 14x squared. And then I had 6x plus 3x. That's a 9x. And 9x minus 2x is a 7x. So this really should be a 7x. I obviously have not corrected it before. I haven't put it in the system yet, so I will correct that on the system. This one, when you have it, will have a 7x there. And then, let's see, we have got the numbers. You had a 2 and a negative 5, so that gave you negative 3. And negative 3 minus 10 should have a negative 13 here on the end. So I will correct this one and make sure that we have this as the right answer when we do it. So I want to make sure D is the correct answer on number 4. Okay, so I will double check that, make sure it's all right. Number 5, which expression is equivalent to? And again, I will see some adding, subtracting, in parentheses. So all I need to do is get rid of parentheses, combine like terms. They didn't ask me to factor it. None of these are in factored form down here. So I'm just simplifying. So I need to get rid of these parentheses. What number is sitting right in front? Positive 1. When you multiply by positive 1, does anything change? Nope, still negative 2x squared minus 6x. What number is sitting right in front of this one? A negative 1. So when I multiply by negative 1, do these change? Yes, this becomes a positive 6x. This one becomes a positive 3, and then this is gone. Don't use it anymore. So we have x squareds and x's in a number. So let's do the x squareds first. There's a 2x squared minus 2x squared, and no other x squared. So 2x minus 2x squareds are 0x squareds. So these just canceled out. There are no x squareds in the answer. So let's see. And then we have the x's. We have a minus 6x and a positive 6x. They also cancel out. They're gone. So the only thing we have left, because we multiplied this over here, that was what that one was, distribution. So it's gone when we did the multiplication. We have a 9 and a positive 3, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So what's the only answer that's in there? 12. There it is, D. The dimensions of a rectangular room are a length of 5x minus 3 and a width of 3x minus 3. Which expression finds the area of the room? Now remember, area is length times width. So I need to multiply these two things together. Whenever you're doing math, you put parentheses around the polynomials. So this is going to be 5x minus 3 times 3x minus 3. So this is a binomial times a binomial, so I'm doing a double distribution. 5 times first one times the first one. 5 times 3 is 15, and x times x is x squared because you add the exponents. 5 times negative 3 is the second one you do, and that's a negative 15. And x times no x's means I have an x in the answer. Now we're going to come back and distribute 3. Negative 3 times positive 3 is a negative 9. And no x's times a single x means there's a single x in the answer. And negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Parentheses are gone. Combine your like terms, which are these two. This is still 15x squared. Negative and negative, bad guys and bad guys, means I have a negative 24x. And I still have the plus 9 on the end. So I am looking for the 15x squared minus 24x, yep, and plus 9, yep, making sure all the signs are right. So A was the right one on that. Okay, watch the next video to see the rest of the worksheet. Bye, guys.